everybody. Welcome to another episode of NerdyOver30, the podcast where we talk about movies, games, and everything pop culture. My name's Worm. Here with me are my co-hosts, David and T-Bud.
What's up, everybody?
Today's guest is a artist and YouTuber. He's another good friend of mine. His name is Slew. How's it going, Slew?
What's up? Glad to be here. Super excited.
Yeah, man. How's everything?
It's good. It's good. I just actually moved in this space, so I've just been kind of grinding to get things set up. But yeah, I'm moving to Brooklyn soon in Brooklyn, and that's just been my life for the past like 2 weeks. Just
looks like you have a lot of room there to do activity.
Yes, there is a good amount of room. Definitely an upgrade from where I used to be, but the plan of moving to the city is like to do a lot more in person with people. So
yeah,
more space for activities, you know.
So where are you originally from?
So I'm from Connecticut, Fairfield.
Nice.
Where I was born and raised. And I went to like boarding school, went to a few different colleges, went to 2 different schools in New York, 2 art schools, I guess you could say. And then I left all those universities. This is like a mini life timeline for you. But then I built an art studio like 4 years ago in a town over in Connecticut where I was like been based for since then, where like YouTube and everything and painting has been. And so just recently left that place and moved here like fully. So this is like the big transition. So we're in the thick of it right now.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy. So how old are you, Slew?
I'm 26, just turned 26 in March.
So yes, so for somebody young, you've done quite a lot, it seems, with yourself.
Well, I mean, yeah, relatively, but I mean, I think it's just like, we could talk about this more, not to just rip immediately, but I just had a different, I like didn't go to school. I did go to school, like college, higher education, but I left very early. I went to like 4 different universities for like a semester each. and then left. But I was always kind of doing this art stuff. So like for people discovering me, or they're like you said, like 26, like, yeah, I guess it's younger to be, I'm like really lucky to have this resource, this space and everything, but I've been doing like video and painting since I was like 18. So
yeah,
it's just kind of been consistency, but yeah, I mean, I know you guys are older than me, so I don't want to make you feel bad, but I like turned 26. I was like, holy shit. Like, I feel like I'm 18.
You're our youngest guest yet.
I know.
Yeah,
man,
Nerdy
over 20. Nerdy over 20.
Yeah.
It's actually a cool thing at 26. It's like an inspiration to show us, all right, oh man, we can do the same thing. If someone can start so young and do this, like we can do the same thing.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the internet's a crazy place. I mean, I talk about all these like social media conversations a lot, even today with this kid who came by talking about how like all you need is an internet connection, which, you know, a lot of the globe, not just the United States, has. So you can really reach the almost, you know, arbitrarily infinite number of people as long as, you know, on the internet. So it's pretty awesome. And anyone can do it, no matter what age, what time of your life.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I also think a lot of people, like what we did for a long time, is we just talked a lot of crap and said, we should do a podcast. We should do a podcast. We should do a podcast. And it just takes you really taking the step to do it, because a lot of people talk and never do anything.
No, that's the name of the game. I mean, it's like, even for just anything, it's like everyone has good ideas. It's just like there's a big difference between having good ideas or any agenda or activity and then actually going ahead and doing it. So that, you know, like the classic fucking like motivational speaker, it's just like, do, you know, it is the truth behind that. It's just to like, I mean, and I don't like, for you guys specifically, if you want context, like, I don't think you guys are in it to become millionaires or become Hollywood. You're just talking and having fun with your mates. Yeah. And like, but it still takes that step to, all right, let's set it up. Let's make the schedule, blah, blah, blah. You know, so there's all logisticals, but it's possible if you just want to do it.
Yeah.
So like, were you always, I mean, when did you realize you were into art?
Well,
loaded question, I know.
Yeah, no, I think I was always like into, I don't know, how would you phrase it, like creative, hands-on things. Like my mom definitely gave me a lot of Legos when I was younger. I don't know, just I guess normal stuff. I love Nerf guns. I like taking apart Nerf guns and like modding them. I don't know, just crap like that, you know, but painting really not till like way later on in my life. I actually like graffiti. I was like really into graffiti from like 16, 17. And then that kind of led to just like spray painting characters. Like these characters are like my tattoos, you know, like random like graffiti characters. And then that just slowly transitioned to like painting on canvases with paint and paintbrushes rather than spray paint. And then continually evolving and perpetually into like oil painting, traditional oil painting, and then everything little in between. So
any artists that inspired you, like, you know, your favorites or something?
that's a good question. I mean, I think that's a loaded question. I think inspiration is a loaded question, not in a bad way, but it's like sure, yeah, I liked, but like when I was when I was interested in graffiti, and this is so relevant to like social media, it's like I wasn't like walking down the streets of New York being like, look at this mural, like I love this mural. It was like I was watching YouTube videos on murals. I was watching YouTube videos on graph people in Canada, and I was like, oh shit, I love that. Like I want to do that. And so all of the exposure in those kind of Genesis years and inspiration years, or just whatever I was exposed to get me to do it, was all on YouTube. Like I'm a YouTube fanatic, you know, like my mom, I've said this a million times, but I like to say that YouTube like raised me. And so like everything, all my interests, even videography and editing and things like that, all is from YouTube. And just like the breadth of the resource that YouTube is kind of just like extremely large. That some people I feel like
on YouTube.
What's up?
What can't you do on YouTube now?
Exactly.
Literally find anything, changing a tire, anything.
Yeah. How to drive a cruise ship, you know what I mean? It's like insane the amount of free information is out there. So like I think obviously it's more relevant now, but even when I was like 16, 17, YouTube was kind of new, or I guess you could say like 2009, 10 or whatever. But still there was so much like just stuff. And it wasn't like TV where you kind of just absorb through a few things. It's like you're searching these things. It's like, okay, graffiti or mural. And so it's like a little more targeted interests, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so I know you spoke a little bit about what got you into art, but how did you know painting was the thing?
Well, I don't think I ever did. I mean, you know, it's like, it's so easy to look back, or even for you guys to look at me and like, but like throughout, it was like many years of like just a hobby. And like, I would be lying to say like, I had this garage in my old house. Like I've moved a few times, where I kind of set up this piece of plywood. This was maybe like a year or two under my graffiti obsession, just to spray paint, because I wasn't doing like illegal bombings. I wasn't doing any of that because I was from the suburbs and I didn't have friends who were doing it. I wasn't trying to be some vandal. I just loved the paint. I just loved the idea. And so I set up like there, but I would go up there to like smoke weed and be an excuse to like smoke weed and not have my mom know, you know, and like that was like for a year or two. And then it was kind of super incremental until I guess it just started being more serious, you know, like I don't know when that switched or like what made it, but it was kind of just that thing I just kept doing. Even through college, I went to like 2 liberal arts schools where I wasn't doing anything artistic. I wasn't like an art major, being like a dumb kid, but like behind school, I was still doing like painting projects or trying to do murals or making videos. So it was kind of just like super slow bubble consistent.
Yeah.
So if that's a bad answer, I'm sorry.
No.
That's the truth.
That's what we're here for, the truth, man.
And like, is it ever like, does anyone ever like, if I said that for you guys, like, or even if you guys, you know, Jonathan, like your wife, was there one day where you're like, this is my wife, you know, like maybe after a long relationship of wonderful experiences, but yeah. So I think that's normally the answer, but also the truth.
Yeah.
So I know you said you went to different schools for just like a semester or so. Is there any? Did you get like a lot out of it? Like I know you jumped from school to school. Is it because you thought the information was kind of like not useful, or what was the reason for?
Yeah, good question. It's like I went to boarding school, which is like super preppy, like jacket tie every day for all of high school. And that's basically mini college. Like it's literally the same thing as college, just like stricter rules and you're younger. And so like the transition out of that, which is like preparatory boarding school to prepare you for college, it was like super anticlimactic. And also I was already into this. I was doing a lot of graffiti and like did my own thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do also, like I graduated 19 high school. And so after that first semester, I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is literally the same shit I've been doing. It's super expensive. I'm not like using this resource. So I just like left. And I actually did a gap semester in Southeast Asia for 3 months because I was like pretty into, back then I was like, I don't want to say I was like a hippie, but like I was smoking a bunch of weed and I was into like mindfulness stuff. And so I did this semester where it was like very deep into like Buddhism and Eastern philosophy and stuff. And actually
proceeding. You were a Buddha.
Yeah, and it's like I would never. I'm not very religious. I just like those experiences, and in that part of my life or in that time frame, I was like super into like that sort of stuff. And like when I returned from that semester, I actually went to a Buddhist like university in Boulder because I was like, oh, this is like what I'm into. And then you know, the normal story that everyone tells you is you have to go to school. So I was like, this is what I'm interested. Now I'm going to go to school for this. And that was only like a year left that also. It was kind of just the same story.
It's trial and error.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
exactly.
But I feel lucky because I feel like I actually did get out of the system, which I think a lot of people, not only because they're pressured because they have this opportunity, maybe in their family, people didn't go to college, they have this opportunity and they have to go, and that's awesome. But like I just felt like it was a waste every second. And, you know, I was lucky to be able to have that opportunity, but if like I wasn't doing anything, I was feeling guilty because it was just not only a waste of money, but time.
Yeah.
So I worked at a restaurant for like 2 years at home in Connecticut in between all of the bouncing around. And that's where actually those 2 years I built my art studio in my hometown. And that's where kind of things started for the YouTube stuff.
So that was going to be my next question.
Awesome segue.
I'm just giving you the timeline of timelines. Shut me up if I'm ranting too much.
No, that's
good, man.
All right.
Absolutely not.
So what was the push that you were like, I'm going to start, you know what? I love YouTube. I'm going to start doing YouTube. It seemed like you said you were into editing and filming yourself for years already. So what made you that push?
So the YouTube thing is like, it's almost the same answer, but like I had before. So I did this graffiti independent study at my boarding school where I was like spray painting on canvas and like it was my own class. It was this really wild thing that is kind of unheard of at like a really preppy boarding school, but they allowed me to do it. But even before that, and like in middle school, I had so many YouTube channels: fingerboarding, Modern Warfare 2, skateboarding, like just comedy videos with my friends. Like I'm telling you, like a YouTube addict, like always on making videos about random shit. And so it was the same thing when I started spray painting. I was like, all right, GoPro time lapses. And then so for the independent study at my boarding school, that was when I kind of started doing time lapses of everything I painted. So I had like a stock pile of maybe like a dozen, 20 videos for that year at my high school. And I would post them on YouTube just like I would normally for any other videos I'd make. And then, but like again, it's easy to look back now, but like a deep-seated pipe dream was always to be like a YouTuber, you know, because like I said, from the start of YouTube being a platform, I was kind of on it and loved it. And so as it got more popular and I would follow more people, like I still follow people on YouTube from middle school type shit, you know, like, and I was like, wow, that is like the dopest shit. Like I love making videos, whatever. So, but like I said, I went to college, and so like I wasn't doing many videos, so it wasn't like super serious at all, but I would just always upload videos because that's just what I like to do. And then as I left those schools, like I said, I worked at a restaurant for 2 years. I was like, all right, why don't I just like take this a little more seriously? Yeah. Because I was taking my painting more seriously, and just innately, I'm going to bring that video aspect along because I just had always done that. And so that 2 years at home where I had a bunch of time, I had, I guess, money because I was, you know, working, but I just had my time to do what I wanted. And that was where I kind of started taking it serious. And that was like 2015, 2016. Mm-hmm. But it was still part-time. It was like, you know, it wasn't as, I'm super, you know, like a full-time job now, but back then it was like video here, couple weeks, video here. But the scale of the videos, the consistency, how much time I was putting into, it was all slowly leveling up.
Yeah.
And how long would you say it took you to really gain traction on your views, your subscribers? When you took it more serious.
A while.
Something that we're learning about. Very
Totally. Yeah, and I'll hit you with some truth. So long and like, so here, I'll give you a nice little statistic. From, I had this YouTube channel that I've had through like high school, but like I started, like I said, during that time off school, started taking it seriously. That was 2000, we'll say end of 2015. I had, from that point to 2019 in August, probably over 200 videos, putting in serious work, especially towards the end of the last year and a half of that, like end of 2017, 2019, like hundreds of videos, 10-minute videos. I had 12,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And then there was 1 week in August of 2019 where 2 of my videos kind of just like went mini viral or to recommended within the artist community, not like the main YouTube trending, but just like within the artist community. And it brought in 75,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. So it was like 4 years of nothing, didn't make a penny, put it in major work, like obsessing over it, like a part-time job, and at the end of that, like before, like that summer going into 2019, there was actually this crazy point where my mom was like, all right, you kind of got to figure something out. Like, I know you're doing this YouTube, you have your art studio. And I had this opportunity because I was painting at this atelier in New York. It's not a school, it's more of like a studio where you go and it's all these paintings right here, where it's like live models. It's very traditional oil painting. So I was doing that. And then it was that summer and I had the opportunity to go to this new atelier, which was more intense. It was basically like D1 for painting, you can think of, like that's like the regimen and the intensity. It's not a university, it's literally just painting and drawing. And I had the opportunity to do that, but if I went to that, I would have to leave my art studio. And I basically made this, like Judgment Call was like, yeah, still nothing's happening. I haven't made $1, but I love it. I have this whole setup. I was in this workflow, I felt very ironed and greased up and like, I was loving it. It was my dream. Like the studio I built when I was really young, it was kind of crazy. It was like kind of a fluke that it was able to happen. And I built it with my buddy. So I was in this place. I was like, why would I change this dreamy situation, even though I'm not getting the viewership and blah, blah, blah. Like, let me give it 1 more year. Let me live at home for 1 more year, give it a shot. And it just so happened that summer, got lucky and it kind of picked up, but it was brutal. I mean, like, because I put in so much effort for so long and like expecting after years being like, all right, like this next video or this little mini series is going to do really well and it's going to pay off or you're going to get that followership. But social media is a bitch, man.
Yeah, man. We're definitely learning that, you can't try and top your last video. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's all about on to the next.
Don't get lazy. Just keep at it. That's it.
Yeah, it's all about clicking that upload button. I mean, love the work you're doing. I think, and like I said, not to speak for you guys, but you can't lose. I mean, it's like you're just doing what you like, talking with your buddies. I mean, it's just fun, and that's like why I did it. You know what I mean? Like, and I rant about these things on my videos to people because everyone asks me the same things. It's like I can only tell my story, but I was like. And people say obsessed and like it's a good thing. Like I was obsessed with making videos, like to a point where like I wouldn't hang with friends or like it was all I was doing. I didn't want to go back to school. I just wanted to paint, make videos, and I really liked it. And so that's what kept me doing it. But if you have like the notion, obviously, of I'm going to blow up, I'm going to make all this money, I'm going to become influential. It's like that's like the wrong reasons, and you'll probably lose because your expectations will be so in the clouds.
Yeah. That's true.
Who wants to hear wisdom from a 26-year-old surrounded by you wise men?
Trust me, we don't have much figured out, so we're still.
We're just kind of winging it at this point.
We're getting there. We're getting.
No, I'm a moron. I'm just bullshitting. It's just I just like it's been very. It's like all I've done, really. You know what I mean? It's like the only thing. I think about a lot, like what has been the most consistent thing I've done in my life besides eating food every day or like going to the bathroom, right? You know what I mean? You think of these like your experience as a person. It's like, what am I doing all the time? And like making videos was weirdly one that like I didn't think about till a couple of years. I did this thought experiment type thing, and it's like, yeah, just making videos. It's like I've been doing that since like, you know, had a computer to edit on, I guess.
Yeah, man. And that's the crazy thing about your generation is that you guys just always had YouTube and these resources, and you just learned how to do all these things just growing up in it. So it's just crazy to see all. And then now, like the newer generation, kids know how to use tablets and all this stuff when they're like
Totally.
3 years old. It's crazy.
It's insane. I mean, but I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, you have technology, you have all the information in the world at your fingertips, but having too much information could be bad too, because it can get in the way of your productivity, because you have all this information being slammed in your face constantly. You know, all this advertisement that you get so distracted that you don't know what you want to do with your life anymore, because you're trying to be someone else. You know.
Yeah.
You got to pick and choose. So
Yeah.
to the best.
Well, let me turn the tables on you guys. I'm talking about YouTube. Like you guys are from that other generation, but like you were probably, you know, did you guys like follow YouTube? Like, was it something you were really into, or only super recently? Like, in terms of, you know, social media content, and you know, instead of watching TV, or I don't know, you know.
I think my fiance was watching a lot more, you know, YouTubers and stuff before I was. There was only a couple, maybe 4, 5 years back now, where I was like started watching like certain YouTubers for things that I liked, and then I discovered, oh man, there's all these nerdy people, and then there's all this skateboarding stuff, and then when cards came in the picture, Magic, when I wanted to start learning Magic, like you said, you can learn anything. Before I knew Lorenzo and Magic and all these guys, I used YouTube. So yeah, I would say a good 5 years ago, but I mean, we come from the era before YouTube, when there was like Ebon's World and
Right. Yeah, I do kind of
LimeWire and all that stuff.
Yeah. So for me personally, I'm a very late bloomer when it comes to YouTube. I was never really a YouTuber till maybe just recently. I watched little, you know, funny clips here and there because it's kind of shoved in your face and you know, Facebook and Instagram. But I am grateful for it. I mean, now that I'm experimenting more with YouTube, I'm finding more resources, more how to do whatever, you know, like. So yeah, I'm hoping to take more advantage of YouTube now.
For sure.
More than ever, for sure. Especially now that we're doing a podcast. I've caught myself watching other people's podcasts.
Right.
Of course, I watch your videos, just to kind of analyze like how you're doing your editing, how you're talking to people, and yeah. What about you, T-Bud?
Me, it used to be just like movie shit, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, movies, like all the video game stuff. When I was more into video games, like I used to cheat how to beat a level.
Right.
Just Google it. I was like, how do you do it? Like, help me, please, YouTube. That's about it. Like,
and the other crazy thing about YouTube, like we started doing the podcast and making the YouTube channel, and YouTube is the only place where you can go to learn how to make a YouTube channel.
Yeah, like a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
You can learn.
Since the pandemic, like last year, 2020 was like, I mean, pretty shitty for a lot of people. And like 2020, I learned how to be like just chef stuff, like just to cook shit. Like, I mean, what else can you do? I mean,
it's crazy.
There's nothing you can't do on YouTube. You could just how to make banana nut bread. Oh shit! Look, YouTube, there you go.
Hundreds of videos of banana nut bread.
Ridiculous, insane.
I actually learned how to take a stain out of a marble table yesterday because I had a stain in my marble table.
Damn.
So what's the secret?
YouTube.
It is baking soda and water, and then you
You do that for like wine, also, I think.
Yeah.
For like seltzer,
Crazy,
long story short, you can learn everything. I kind of wish I got into it a little bit earlier, but like I said, another bad thing about our generation is we're very stubborn. That we get set in our way.
We can do it ourselves. Yeah.
But it's also just like technology, new systems. Like it takes, you know, if you're born into it, it's innate. But for anyone, like even it's crazy. Like to talk about TikTok, it's like, I get TikTok and I understand I should be doing it way more, but it's like, it took me a while to figure out even just the operating system or how the flow of it, people like the style, like there's a different sort of style and feel. And it's like, and kids are just, that's just, you know, reading for them, right? It goes down the line. I'm sure, you know, everyone talks about this. I'm sure in 5 years there'll be another thing, and you know,
it's just
but
keep evolving. Yeah, I mean, we have a TikTok that we probably use way more than
we need to do other stuff. We need to do our own on the TikTok stuff rather than just like, you know, preview of guests or whatever. We just need to do material. Like that'll be funny. So you'll be a funny one of your time lapses videos on TikTok. How you could make it as short as possible. That would be interesting. Under 50 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, TikTok, I have mixed feelings about it, but it's totally another insane tool for exposure and eyeballs if you're strictly talking eyeballs.
The reason TikTok, in my opinion, is so big is instant gratification. It's literally like if you're just walking across the street, you instantly get thrown something entertaining right in your face within seconds. You know.
Yeah, if you think of like if there's 1 million users on YouTube and they're watching 2 to 20 minute videos, and you have 1 million users on TikTok watching 5-second videos, how many different videos that group of people are watching? That's why the algorithm and the rate of being exposed is just like immensely different and higher. But it's because of that short form content that people are just addicted to. And it's like, what is changing? It's crazy. It's kind of sad almost. I mean, it's not really like that, but you know, there's this weird polar, like, whatever you want to call, where it's like extremely short form TikTok, 15 to 60-second stuff is getting extremely popular. Then also long form podcasts are actually really increasing in popularity. And the stuff that even I'm doing, like 10, 15-minute stuff, it's like it doesn't have a place to live. The sample size of people who are looking for that aren't really watching. Like it sucks because it doesn't suck, but it's like I edit every frame of a 20-minute video, you know, but the average view duration for most of my videos are like 6 to 8 minutes, you know, and you could see on the analytics where people click on, where they click off. So I'm sure there's a fair amount of people watching every minute of it, but there's a way higher majority that are not, you know what I mean? So it's like, do I need to be making these 20-minute videos? Because this 20-minute video be 8 minutes and behoove me in viewership and, you know, the algorithm, or so it's just interesting. I think that's really true, but it's crazy because of the attention span of all these glue sniffing, crayon eating morons. And then, you know, the podcast, people love listening to people talk for 2 hours. It's awesome. I love it. I rip through like so many podcasts because all I do is paint. And like, I love books. I'm a really huge fantasy novel reader, but I can't listen to audiobooks while I paint because I have to be focused for listening. And like, I have to paint. So podcasts are perfect. You just like rip it and just laugh. And so I go through disgusting amounts.
Yeah, I actually just got about a year ago, I got into audiobooks because I had to drive a lot. So it's actually pretty entertaining. There's some really good audiobooks.
No, totally. And I think in a driving situation, I would like audiobooks also. But like when I paint, you know, I have to, I can't. Yeah, it's like I've tried
away from your zen.
And I want both, you know, I want the story so bad, but I also need to get the work done. So it's a little harder.
Now, podcasts I've been into for years now.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. That's why I think I wanted to steer towards the podcasts more than trying to do vlogs right now, you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And like, what was that like? You're saying even before YouTube, or like were the first podcasts on YouTube? Because there's Sirius XM had a bunch of podcasts, right? Like,
oh man, I've been listening to podcasts since early 2000s.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because the Star Wars group I'm a part of, the 501st.
Oh, true. Yeah, they definitely
have a podcast before I joined it. I wanted to join them, called the 501st Cast. That was the first podcast. I was like, what is this thing? I can listen to like this radio show. And I started stumbling into all these Star Wars podcasts and skateboard podcasts, and now they're everywhere.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So Slew, you mentioned gaming earlier. So you're a gamer?
Not really. Did I mention it? I mean,
you mentioned I think Call of
Modern
Duty.
Warfare. So I mean, that's pretty much the only, like, we played FIFA growing up. I was never a PC player, all Xbox, but like boarding school, all you do is play video games like when you have downtime. So it was pretty much FIFA and Modern Warfare. And then it's funny, like,
basically that's my favorite.
T-Bud is actually all about sports, man.
like FIFA Modern Warfare, that's like one of the last few Xbox games that I played. So
and like I actually stopped, like I didn't have an Xbox for like that whole time I was at my studio, and when I was working at home, like, because like I wouldn't have done work, and I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't have one in my house. And recently, like this past Christmas during COVID, I bought an Xbox like Christmas Eve. I downloaded Warzone because all my buddies were playing it, and I was just like literally itching to play. And so I've been back on it a little, but I'm not a hardcore. A couple of my buddies are like, full PC rigs, like love it, play every game, Counter-Strike.
We all used to play a lot, but
it's been a while for me as well, sadly. It's just life.
Yeah, but not the biggest gamer. I'm like more of like you guys. Like I'm a huge movie nerd, huge like fanatic movies. Because I don't, like I said, I watch like insane amount of YouTube. Like people, I guess, if you want to normalize people, I would say is they're like Netflix, binge watch shows, which I do too, but not nearly as much as I watch YouTube videos of random shit that I just like or that I'm into. And then also movies. I love like movies over TV. For me, like every time, pretty much.
So we just started getting into this where we ask your top 5.
Oh, nice.
Since we're on the subject, Slew.
Oh, go ahead. I've been waiting for this one. But can I do a little precursor of what I've been watching recently? I think you guys would appreciate this. I've been doing a deep dive to old classics. So let me hit you with some crazy ones I've watched. This is all in the past 2 months. Lords of Arabia. Ben-Hur original.
David, you should just leave.
Apocalypto, and I watched Casino 2 nights ago. Those are only a few. I'm trying to think of other ones, but just like banger classics that I couldn't believe I hadn't seen and just loved them. Like even Lawrence of Arabia, Ben-Hur, like the 20-minute intermission, like 4 hours. Like I was watching every second straight through, stayed up like all night watching it. Loved it. Love that shit. And I have like
watched that one, but
yeah, that's like one of the old classic Hollywood, but I get in pockets of weird moods, but like I think I'm probably similar to you. Majority I watch like sci-fi, fantasy, like pretty much.
So your top 5? What your top 5?
Yeah, you're buying time. I know you're buying time.
That's bullshit. Like, do people really give their top 5?
Absolutely, right on the spot.
It could be like a rough draft. It doesn't have
to be a rough draft. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, nobody.
Are we gonna stick with just movie generically, or are we gonna stick with the sci-fi fantasy genre?
No, it can
be whatever you want, bro.
Or you could name a movie that you've seen the most amount of times. That you can always.
Shite. Oh man, this is putting me on the spot, and like.
Yeah.
Well, I think also I like to name series. Like I think The Matrix is one of my all-time favorite series, but also like Lord of the Rings, like.
Nice.
I mean, those those don't even count, right? Like Lord of the Rings doesn't even count. If you don't like Lord of the Rings, I don't like. Yeah, because it's that. I mean, I think it's one of 3 movies that won Best Picture for sci-fi fantasy ever. So
Return of the King one,
yeah.
And it doesn't have to be only old movies. You can name recent ones that really popped out to you.
Yeah, I think Inception is one of the best stories ever told in terms of cinematography, cast, plot, everything. Like my interest in like movies, not to get off this, is like also like the directorial roles, and like I really like cinematography and hearing about like it's telling stories, not just like observing the movie. But so I think Christopher Nolan, I think, is a genius. I love Inception. I think it's one of the best movies in history, in my opinion. Shite. Let's keep going.
Some even say Interstellar is even better.
Interstellar. I love Interstellar. Interstellar was a bit more confusing for me to be in like the upper echelon. I thought it was 9 out of 10 at least, but just in terms of every element. What did I watch recently? I know I watched a bunch of good. I thought Casino was phenomenal.
Yeah.
With Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
I thought it was amazing.
It's like an epic like gangster film. Like
I thought it was the best
like
mob
3 hours,
movie I've ever seen. Like compared to like Reservoir Dogs, amazing. All Quentin Tarantino shit I love, but like Casino took it for me in that kind of mob story.
That's a heavy freaking movie. Every time I watch it, like the cornfield scene.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Casino, good.
Not even a spoiler alert. All I said was cornfield.
Yeah, I know.
There's no way there's a spoiler at this point.
Exactly. Cornfield scene.
I'm trying to think of a few more that. You know what I thought was really underrated? I'm not giving you these 5 clearly. I'm sorry, but I thought I don't know if you guys saw the Maze Runner series.
Maze Runner is good.
I thought that was underrated.
Into it.
And I liked the underrated ones because I mean the third one wasn't that good, but the first one I thought was actually really good, and people thought it was gimmicky and shitty. Also, John Carter, mega flop for the studio. I thought it was still a great story. Same thing as Star Wars, same Space Odyssey, blah blah blah. I still thought it was interesting and fun, and I enjoyed it. That's not a top 5, but I'm giving my noble mentions.
We actually do an T-Bud actually does underrated gems. So it's interesting that you're talking about this.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah, I love John Carter. I love Taylor Kitsch because he was like from Friday Night Lights. So I was like, yo, Friday Night alumni. So yeah, I gotta watch it. It was good. I like that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like thrillers. Like I know there's a bunch. The one thing I really don't watch much of is like horror. I'm not the biggest horror fan. I mean, if I'm like with a girl or like my friends, I'll watch it. But if I'm trying to like enjoy a movie, I don't really go that route.
I like a good horror every now and then, but I guess that's maybe.
I'm not hating. I know people love it.
Yeah.
No, I'm a wuss, man. I lost sleep over some horror movies, man.
Well, we're seeing Spiral in 2 days, so man up.
I mean, that's a
Saw, right? Yeah.
That's a different.
I don't really think that's gonna be scary.
Yeah, that's a different kind of. That's a thriller, most.
Yeah, I would say that's thriller, especially with Chris Rock and the cast, Samuel L. Jackson. It's like,
No, it's gonna be. I heard it's pretty good. Like some like good reviews, some bad.
So what's a movie that really scared the crap out of you since you're not really into horror that got you?
Right. Well, I think the last I went into what is it called? It's not Midsommar, the other one.
Oh, I was about to say, Slew. You probably love Midsommar.
What was the other one they did before that?
Oh, Hereditary.
Yeah. So I went with me and my hometown buddies that I don't see often. Our thing would be go to movies like whenever we're together. And I walked into that movie not knowing anything, not even know it was horror, just like, all right, this movie, I heard it's good. And it just like shook me. I was so not ready for that movie. I don't think I get scared, but it was just like shocking and like fucking gnarly.
But to me, Midsommar was even worse. Like
I heard that.
No, I can't watch that movie again, man.
Actually, it was shot in the light, and it bothered the shit out of me. How scary!
I never felt so uncomfortable after watching the movie, man.
Well, that's the whole idea of the guy who guy who made those films is to make you feel uncomfortable. He actually since you he did a short film on YouTube.
Yo, what the hell was that?
That'll mess you.
You have to send me that.
So weird.
Yeah,
send me that link.
It'll completely mess you up, and you'll your rest of your day will be shitty.
That was messed up. But yeah, man, I think even Midsommar, the director's cut, like his vision, like he cut it up because of like MPAA and whatever. Like I think his director's cut makes it even like it's masterpiece. He connects the dots more. Wow. He fills in the scenes. It's so.
Yeah, I heard it was shot beautifully. Like the cinematography is really epic, and
I'll give it that. It's just yeah,
you're a bitch.
Just don't plan anything for the rest of your day, because
I heard it is quite gnarly, which I guess people like. But I'm like such like a modern day thespian. Like I love real character arcs and like classic tropes of these things that maybe I'm not saying horror doesn't have that, but it's like I feel like it's the scare factor, and it might leave these like big traditional storytelling themes out the window. And that might be controversial. I'll get some hate for that, but I just love a good story with good characters, and I just fucking love it. You know what I think is like this is also Disney, like original Disney movies. Like, bro, I cry every fucking time.
Oh yeah, like get you on Disney movies, man.
Aladdin or Hercules, the original one. Like,
Bambi, come on, man, Bambi, damn.
Toy Story? Are we forgetting Toy Story? Like,
yeah, but dude,
no, he was going to the classic. He just did Hercules.
Toy Story is great, but
respect on Slew's name.
The people at those studios are like, yeah, it's a cartoon and it's like a fake story, but like, dude, they're reaching into the heart of human emotion, like masters. The soundtracks, like the characters, the dialogue. I know I'm no expert. I'm just like literally my opinion, but it fucking gets me and I love it. I eat that shit up.
No. Yeah, they definitely know how to get to people's emotions, Disney.
Yeah, totally.
Freaking stuff when I watch Disney movie.
Do you guys see Raya, The Last Dragon?
I haven't seen it yet.
Thought it was awesome.
I'm waiting until I could see it for free on Disney Plus.
Well, $30. I was gonna tell you, it's in theaters. We could technically see it for free.
Oh,
that was really good. I liked it a lot. I thought it was awesome.
So Slew, what influenced your art style? Going back to your art, because I mean, we're talking about things that you're into. Yeah. So I'm curious to know if anything in particular.
That's a great segue.
Some crazy, interesting characters.
Yeah, so that actually kind of, and this is another perfect example where I think it's like an impossible question, and that's like the number one question like artists get. It's like, what inspires you? And I've finally developed a better answer, and the answer is like, there's not one thing, just like to not broken record sound like, but like, I think the true answer is just reality and whatever you're into and the experiences you have, combined to do like, I'm trying to give context and example. It's like I have also different like pillars of like my creative endeavors. I do like super traditional portraiture, and then I do like fantastical, crazy stuff. I do things in between. But like my stylized stuff, like my tattoos of like these characters, all that stuff. And I do a lot of Medusas. I don't think you can see any Medusas, but I do love Greek and Roman mythology a lot, like those stories.
Yeah, those are always the popular ones.
Yeah, and so like I did Cyclopses, like in the Odyssey there's a Cyclops, and I just like the fantastical creatures. Like I said when I was doing graffiti, like there's a lot of b-boy characters, which are just like street dudes, whatever, b-boys as painted characters. But I always liked the graffiti characters that were like aliens or fucking whatever, fantastic creatures. So just from being interested in that at a baseline with no more sprinkling, it's just like, all right, let me try doing random cool characters, and just start doodling, and it grew to like more signature characters. But I do get inspired by, like I was kind of saying, like those big epic stories and Greek mythology, good versus evil, all these just classic tropes. Not that can be directly, taken from my artwork just from a visual standpoint, but those interests, I paint what I want. And I think that's what artists should do. I just paint what I like. I like Cyclopses. I like Medusa. That's what I fucking do. Troy, another one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
Of all time. Brad Pitt.
It's yours.
I love that movie.
I love that shit. Brad Pitt is awesome.
So do you have any pieces of art that you can show our viewers for anybody?
Yes, I got a perfect one for you guys. Ready for this? Wait, I gotta go get it.
So we can know, so everybody can know what we're talking about here.
The studio is so big.
Damn, what the fuck?
For real.
Looks like he was
so much room for activities. So much room for activities.
Man, that was so far.
This was actually the first painting I did in my new painting sketchbook.
Oh, yes. I watched that.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Freaking amazing, man.
And I did this during a live stream. So I do like live streams every week for my Patreon people. Just like, that's like pretty much what my Patreon is about, like what you pay for. So this was like the first one. Had a great time painting this dude. I think it was on
like
so 2 hours.
Me and David were watching the video where you paint that.
Yeah.
And we were like, no way is that gonna look like.
Wait, how's he gonna turn these lines into that?
Right. Yeah. No, it's a puzzle. Painting's so fun. It's a puzzle, and I mean, even for me, it's funny. There's like a kind of well-known stage of painting. It's called like the ugly painting stage, where it's like, it looks like shit. It doesn't even look like what you think you're gonna paint, and you got to pass that hump. But it's almost every painting kind of is like that. But also for maybe untrained artists or that are you know, people who don't paint a lot of oil painting, especially, it's like, what the fuck is going on? And then at the end, it's like,
yeah,
it's so awesome.
Yeah, I was actually I was watching one of your videos where you painted a picture of a woman, like a self-portrait.
I think I was about to say that, but it's all right. Go ahead.
My bad. But it was interesting to see how you just kind of like walked away from the painting for a little while, and then you started noticing some imperfections afterward, and was able to work on that, you know, in ways that I didn't even know was possible.
right.
You know, it's almost like a sketch.
I believe you said she had weird cheekbones or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's why I love painting, because it's very. Oh, this is like the separation also, like, to be completely honest with you, it's like the traditional oil painting, all this stuff, like oil painting, right? Like I only paint like realistic things in oil paint. Like I would never really do the Cyclops characters, and that's not even that good, but like there's a huge separation. Like the oil painting is almost not creative. It's technical training. It's being able to speak the language of observing nature, painting it, replicating, you know, the observable world. Whereas these kind of things, it's just graphic creativity, illustrative design, really creating, manufacturing a character that perhaps never existed. So it's very different in that sense. And I make that very clear in my videos because it's absolutely true. And what I was going back to is why oil painting is so fun for me, because it's like and you could, obviously there's oil painters and you could paint whatever you want. I'm just saying, for me, like I like the category that I have put oil painting in, because it puts the creative pressure off. You know, I'm painting portraits, I'm looking at reference almost every single time.
Yeah.
And then it's a puzzle. It's a visual puzzle, and your elements, your variables are paint and light and color and all these things that add to the vocabulary of the language. And it's just training and being able to speak that language fluently to represent whatever, you know, you're painting. So within that language, there's so much nuance, you know, no things that, like you said, you're like, oh, the cheekbone, like, or color and value, like it's so interesting and fun to me because of that reason. Not because I like to be creative, but because it's like technical training. It's just you're being a draftsman. You're just operating the materials for a function, rather than being this really like creative, you know, Dali expressive person, which is fun to be also. But I really like, and it's a practice, you know, it's like a practice. It's forever ongoing. There's no agenda. I'm not trying to sell this. I just literally am trying to speak the language, just like you would try to learn Japanese. You start with a couple sentences, you start with a couple phrases, and over time you get more vocabulary, you get more experience maybe at a Japanese market asking for different things, and you build up these experiences and these vocabulary to then communicate more articulately and clearly. And so I think it's a great analogy to painting. It's the exact same thing. Rant. I'm sorry.
So back to, so now you've got some traction on YouTube. You're like, all right, this is gonna be what I do now. How'd you go, all right, I'm gonna move my studio from Connecticut to New York? How'd the whole studio moving come about, and your whole idea with that?
Right. So that was actually kind of in the works for a while. So I told you 2019, the summer of 2019, I got a lot of followers, and that brought in a lot of viewership, and viewership brought in views. And then finally I was making monthly money on YouTube. It wasn't a lot. The first month was that I had that pop because I had maybe like 1 million views in a month. And that equates to about like, give or take $1,000, but like $5,000. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But then after that, you know, it decreased a lot. You know, that's like how the ebbs and flows is. You get a trendy video, you get a lot of viewership, and you got a lot of people subscribe to you, which is great. But then, you know, you'd never maintain that pop.
Right.
But still, that the decrease was still enough so that I was making maybe $400 a month, and then 700, and then, you know, it would go up and down. And so I just kept going. And I had that art studio at the beginning of that kind of YouTube pop for already 2 years at that point. So it wasn't like really new. And like I said before, I've been doing these videos. These 2 videos that did well weren't like extra good. They were just normal repertoire videos that happened to do really good. So I wasn't like a greenhorn. It was like, I've been doing this for 2 years. Finally, this happened. And I just kept going. And obviously the increase in viewership made me want to do it more and better and all of those emotions to keep it going. And then I think there was another mini pop like that in January of 2020. And it brought in a bunch of more people, and you know, you go through that pop and then you go back down, but that back down is still higher than where you were before, right? And so, and I'm trying not to sound like super spoiled and like an asshole, but it's like I always wanted to move to New York City and like have a space. Like the space I had in Bridgeport, Connecticut was like my dream, and it was amazing. And like I said, I was there for a really long time, like 4 years, which isn't really long, but I was like kind of growing out of it, and I had done everything I wanted to do and accomplish these things. And what I wasn't accomplishing is like working with people in like the real world. We were talking about this interconnection. That's what I was thriving with. I was just uploading videos, but I wasn't interacting with anyone. I wasn't collaborating. It was like very extreme, lonely. And then, you know, as my YouTube grew, I also had and it turned into a business. So you start doing merchandise, you start doing Patreon, you start getting video sponsorships. So all these opportunities come when you get the eyeballs. You collect the eyeballs and the opportunity comes. And from seeing that, knowing that I was going to do this, you know, I didn't have any student debt. I was really lucky. And I was like, all right, you know, from this point on, I'm just going to send this as hard as I could. I put in my goals, you could say, in my metaphorical goals to like, okay, let's try to outgrow the studio and like do a big transitional move to New York City, not just for my painting and for my personal desires, but for the business, for the content, for the opportunity that it would give me. So I think even I put out a vlog really.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
talking about it. Like I really like 2 years before was like, this is what I want to do. These are my goals. And it was like, that's a pretty lofty dream. I got really lucky. And also I raised a bunch of money, which I was really lucky to. And I'm like very fortunate in those regards. So like, I couldn't have just moved here with the money I'd saved and the monthly income I make. I mean, it's fine, but it's not what this is. This was like a very big, methodical, year-long send, literally all the marbles, you know, I made a deal with the devil, but, but it was a dream, pipe dream to say the least. And it kind of worked out. And I broke my leg really badly last July 4th. And so like that put like a huge, like kind of wrench into a bunch of plans I had. Actually, I was trying to do like pop-up gallery shows that past summer. My order of operations was to be like summer of 2020, do like pop-up gallery shows in New York and kind of get my name out, whatever. And then that next year, after grinding again for a year on YouTube, be at a bigger point to then make that move. And then COVID happened, the galleries didn't happen. I broke my leg really bad. And so it was kind of just like 2 years of just straight grinding, doing the same thing I did, you know, trying to get better, trying to do more, increase my skills. But it was really the same shit that I had been doing until now, and everything kind of worked out.
Yeah, man. I was going to mention, so I love the vlogs that you've been doing now for the moving. That format now,
thanks, bro.
Is I think that's amazing. But what I also love is when you're talking in there, you're talking about working with other artists in the space.
Mm-hmm.
So you not only want to have this space for yourself, but you want it to be a creative space for other people. What's the whole deal with that?
Yeah, so like it's funny. It's like I have the same. I have the same agenda here as I actually did with the first studio. I built the first studio with my best friend JT. It was actually his birthday today. He was here earlier, serendipitously. But we built the first studio together. He was a jazz pianist, and like we wanted a creative space, and so we kind of did that together. We renovated that space, and the goal of that space, it wasn't even for YouTube. Like that's how early I had that studio. Like obviously I was making videos, but it was never like, I'm going to be a YouTuber in the studio. It was just because we wanted to do creative stuff together, and we were like-minded people, best friends. But that, like, our agenda was like, all right, if we're going to put this money up, like, let's make a fantasy factory, a Willy Wonka factory of creative, you know, resources. And that never happened. You know, like if you build it, they will come. We built it. They never came. It was in a weird place in Connecticut, kind of a sketchy area in a very big, kind of dilapidated place. So the working with people, you know, we had the resource, we built it. And then it was me for like the 3 years prior after JT left, my friend. But I never really was able to, you know, have that resource out for other people. Whereas this is like fully, you know, it is my painting studio. I'm just going to be my podcast. You know, I'm managing and running it, but like, I want this to be a resource for other people. I want to have open figure drawing sessions, hire models, have mini artist residencies for other kids. You know, just whatever, a multi-tool of, you know, creativity, video productions, you know, social media business, whatever, all of the fingers that I'm able to do, just to have it for me, obviously, but also for other people. And like,
awesome.
There's not a better place than Brooklyn. You know, it's like the move here and why it was such a big deal, because it's so expensive. But it's obviously because of the opportunity that like the metropolis of New York is.
Yeah, and it's also easier, you know, to get people there because in New York,
100%.
Place, so everyone's already there.
People from all over the world, man.
Yeah, 100%.
And
so that's like the thinking, but it's again easier said than done. And like, I'm such a introvert and like recluse. I could really be here all night, all day for weeks, and it like, I love that shit. So to be really honest, it's like very hard for me to open up and to like, you know, say, hey, come here. Not being vulnerable, but like to not to share, but to like let people in, because it's like, it's my baby. It's like my life. It's my passion. It's my identity, but it's also my business and career now. So it's like all in this compartment. And so, you know, I think it's good to have compartments in your life. And when they're all kind of together, it gets a little tricky. So even hiring people, like I'm looking to hire people to help me edit videos, but I'm such a control freak. I need to see every little thing of everything. If it has my name on it, whatever. So it's like, these things are things I need to learn and improve upon, because it's obviously easy to say, hey, come here and paint, or let's build this resource, but it's you know, it's weirdly personal in a weird way, if that makes sense.
No, it does. You also mentioned podcasts, so you want to start a podcast as well?
Yeah, dude, so bad.
Yeah, do it.
I love them. I've listened to like, dude, again, I don't want to brag, but I feel like if you took a number of people who've listened to podcasts and you make a chart in the United States, like I could be top 10. Like I've ripped through thousands of podcasts in the last 2 years. Like sometimes I'll watch like 30 hours of podcasts a week, you know, if it's a big painting project, whatever. But I real deal love it. And I also love talking, you know, like it's not like, it's a very ego trippy thing to say, because like talking about yourself or what, I just love to talk. I love to, my goal with YouTube is to be entertaining, but also to be like an ambassador for like creativity or young professionals or whatever. So part of my interest is actually like communicating. And so like the podcast is the perfect platform. And then to pair that with, it's a great system of getting new people, talking to new people, linking and building, you know, it's usually mutual beneficial on like a podcast. And it's just really exciting to me. And it's also like, I'm a huge video production nerd, huge like tech gear nerd, like camera gear. Like you saw us set up all this shit that wasn't even working. But a video podcast, lighting, audio engineering, like I just love that shit. I can't get enough. So to have it under my roof and to be able to produce it and be on top of it, it's like, it's always been my dream for like years.
Awesome.
So are you going to do, I'm guessing you're also going to do guests, and you're also going to just do some with your homies, or strictly
pretty much all guests? Like this is all like, I got some equipment. It's in this room. It's in this like little glass office. The lights are off. But
well, that's also the podcast room.
Yeah,
he did show it. Yeah, I did see that.
I remember you
the podcast.
Yeah, it's on the videos. It's on the videos. But it's gonna be called Slewniverse. But the whole ins and outs and the flow of it, I have no idea. I think it's gonna be mostly guests. I want it to be centered around like young creatives, like I was talking about, with the narrative of creativity, musicians, photographers. But like I have a lot of buddies with businesses, you know, clothing companies, anything like that. And I think there's a space for young adults to talk that are professionals also. Like I've listened to a lot and I haven't seen kind of that space, but also do it in a different way. I don't know. You know, these are just like what I think.
Oh, yeah, man.
I haven't made anything yet, but these are the goals and the
That's
vision.
exactly how we felt. Like where
Exactly.
our first guest was a big actor, but then we're like, well, let's do a magician. Let's like have like all these people that we know from our lives that we think
different eras, different parts of pop culture, basically.
Totally.
We're going for.
Yeah.
I think people love that. I mean, like, I love that. I listen to, like, we were talking about movies. Like, I listen to all the movie reviews, the film theories, or, you know, even chess. Like, there's awesome chess videos and chess podcasts. It's like I wouldn't consider it nerdy, but it's like people love the niche because it's so relatable. And like, even if you don't know, like people who watch you guys that you don't know, they don't know you, but you can connect on these interests that you're talking about. Like that's what just people want. That's why reality TV is so popular, because it's just fucking relatable. It's real life. It's a real person. Maybe reality TV isn't that real, but you know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
I find that genre so annoying. But
it probably started off real, but then it became something else later.
Right, but you know what I mean. It's like it's not a story. It's, I mean, I guess reality TV is, but like for podcasts, it's just real people talking.
Exactly. Yeah.
And especially you guys, like there's obviously not an ounce of bullshit. You're literally just talking about what you like, and you have people on. So people love that. And I mean, I love that. I love it all.
Yeah, man. So to backtrack a little bit, I was curious, and I don't know if you want to talk about this at all. I was wondering, like, for people out there, how you got the sponsorships and the funds to make this move. Like,
totally. Yeah, money is a crazy topic, and I would like to be as transparent as possible. I saved pretty much, it's a lot of things actually. So, like I said, I didn't have any student debt. My studio's rent at my apartment, or my old studio, was $600 a month. I lived at home with my mom for 4 years. And so through those 4 years, I was saving a lot. Like I wasn't making that much, you know, like from YouTube, I would make maybe not a lot, like less than you would probably think. I'm trying to give you a number, but it's like, it's fickle, but like it wasn't a full time, like it wasn't like a 50,000 a year salary thing until like maybe this past 9 months type of thing. So monthly, it wasn't that much, but I was able to pay for my studio rent and save money. Worked at that restaurant, and that was a long time ago. I saved a lot. And then as this past 12 months, pretty much sponsorships, which is like really easy money. Patreon, I was able to save a lot more, but then I wrote a huge business plan to ask people for money. You know, I had these people kind of sponsor me, these people in my town, these wonderfully nice people who are really passionate about art. I didn't really know them, but they're from my town. And like, I painted these murals for them on their property, which was awesome. And we kind of developed this relationship. And so they were the first people I reached out to ask for a large sum of money. But it was like, I wrote this business plan, like, I don't know, I won't show it, but it's like 18 pages, like graphs, data points, like revenue streams, projection, like really, really intense, like legit work. Yeah, not trying to toot my own horn, but like I wasn't going to ask for like thousands of dollars from people without like literally giving them the best I got.
Yeah, no, of course. And then it seemed like you were like on the video, like when I was watching you make the plan, and it seemed like you were stressing about it and you spent a lot of time on it. And you
totally do, because it's like a lot of people think I'm super spoiled and super rich, and I'm definitely not. I'm definitely well off and way more lucky than a lot of people in terms of being able to go to, my mom paid for my college and all these things. Like, I'm not afraid to say any of that. Like, I was super lucky. I went to boarding school, like, but like, my mom didn't give me like thousands of dollars to build. I don't have a trust fund or anything like that. Yeah. But, yeah. And like doing this business plan, like I had no idea if these people were going to say yes or no. Like, I was super nervous. I have like blind confidence sometimes. Like I float in like extreme blind confidence and like horror, terror, worst case scenario, you know, there's no like middle ground. So it was just the plan I had, the dream, and I spent a really long time with it. And I knew I was going to be able to raise some money because there were people who I knew had supported me already, who I knew would probably give me $1,000 or $2,000 here or there. But like I asked for a pretty big sum from two people. I got about $50,000 from 25 from two different people. and I had no idea what they were going to say. And it was extremely stressful for like months. And, but it worked out, and they were like super, super kind. And
nice.
Like they just believed in me, and it was like a dream situation. I'm super lucky, but also I have like some cryptocurrency that I've been holding for a while to just drop that. But like I've been in crypto for like many years, and actually the first studio I built, a lot of the first 6 months rent I made from like a crypto, like a altcoin in 2016. So I've been weirdly in that, but like I don't have a 401k. Like I just ran out of health insurance. So it's like crypto is like my weirdly only kind of like fund of income that a traditional job provides, benefits and things like that. But it was a mix of all of that, man. And money's crazy. And even now, like, so basically how it was set up is I raised enough money to have this studio paid for 1 year. So it's basically, that was kind of like, again, the agenda of the business plan. It was like, I'm asking, like, look at what I was able to do by myself for the last 2 years. Like, this is what I was able to accomplish. This is how much money I made. This is what I'm expecting to make. And imagine if I have this opportunity here with this many more resources and like people under me. So I was basically like, give me this opportunity, give me this year floated to prove to you that like I could really, gain a lot more success. And not because I want money, because I'm some money hungry person to buy a Ferrari, but money only facilitates more projects and more opportunity to do awesome things, or have more podcast producers
Absolutely.
So that was like the thing. It was like, float me the year. So the money I raised was pretty much all to the studio space for 1 year. And then after this year, because I signed a 2-year option lease, I'm going to be responsible for this insane overhead per month. So it really is, it's an insane amount of money that I was given. And, but there's an insane fire under my ass to really, crush this year, to be able to, keep it going. So that's the truth. I mean, I've no trouble talking about it, but people rip on me, and like, it's easy to say because I know a lot of people aren't as fortunate, and it's without doubt. And I would never be blind to how like lucky I am in my life, not only financially, but like my mom supported me from every step of the way. Like, you want to leave school and go paint, like finger paint and do YouTube, like do it, do it. So that's like what I'm so lucky, like that people have supported me, have really like nourished the passion to then put myself in these positions to maybe then become successful. But I owe it a lot to my mom and my family.
No, man, I don't think anybody should.
The support system was always first. So that's what I think.
Well, I was gonna say is I don't think anybody should think that you're spoiled or by any means. It seems like you've worked really hard.
Yeah, dude, it's hard work.
Like all the right steps that you've needed to do to get to where you want to be. Like even just you going, okay, I'm gonna do this in a year. I'm setting these goals. Even now, with you have enough money for this year, but you're like, that's your next goal that you said. All right, now I got to make sure that I can keep this place going after this year. So no, man, I don't think anybody should think that.
Thank you. I mean, but I'm not blind to my privilege, but no, I would never. I mean, I'm my own biggest fan as well. At the same time, it's like these paintings don't paint themselves, the videos don't edit themselves. It's like work gets done, and I'm trying to work harder than all my competitors, even though my YouTube competitors are my friends, and that actually we help each other. It's still like it's like a competition with yourself. It's like, how hard can I work? I was like a huge, I don't know if like Gary Vaynerchuk.
I love Gary V.
Yeah. So like I watched all that shit, and like really I love that, and like just motivating, especially like the self-made kind of entrepreneurship stuff. So I'm like all about that, which is kind of perhaps helped me in terms of just like working. But yeah, I'm all about that stuff. And
no, man, it does help, and I think little things like that was what started to push me to start doing the things, and also knowing like you guys, like knowing you, Lorenzo, and like being around you guys and seeing, wow, like look at what he's doing, and look at what he's doing with the cards and stuff. I'm like, it totally inspires you. Like, man, I gotta get up off my ass.
Totally, and it's just fun as shit, man. Like, don't you guys love these podcasts, talking to each other? Like, it's just fun, man.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And like I said, It's like we just had a money conversation, which is extremely realistic, and it's a part of my business. But it all started with just like the things I want to do. And I know some people don't have the option to just drop out of school and do what they want to do, but it all is just based on, you know, the passion and just like doing exactly what I want because I want to do it because I like it. And then the rest, perhaps over time, if you get lucky, comes through and trickles down into, you know, fiscal success. But
it's all about being obsessed. You know,
yeah,
you
man.
be obsessed with what you do. Like you mentioned
why
earlier.
not, man? Why not? You know, it's like, especially if you have time, why not try something for you? I tell Lorenzo, Jonathan, like, I was like, dude, you should start doing some vlogs, some cardistry, some 3D animation. Like he does a bunch of awesome creative stuff also. And I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, like just start documenting your work. You know, it's a lot more work, but like give it 1 year and I bet you would be shocked by your success. That's what I tell him. Like,
I think he's the perfect candidate to do something like that. Especially, I remember he was he was doing the Twitch streaming, but he should keep up with that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've also had the 4th deck of Paperwave cards with COVID, and it still hasn't come. It's pretty much done. We just have to get it out, and would love to see the Slew Paperwave collab.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
one day soon. I've been talking about him for a while also. Yeah. So that's awesome. So I think that relates to anyone, any sort of hobby. I mean, not that you have to do YouTube or vlog or social media, but like the crazy resources of the internet is there for everyone. And I think a lot of people do want to work for themselves these days, or, you know, turn their hobby passion into some sort of job career. It's not going to be 100%. I don't think anything is 100% like passion dream. Actually, Jeff Bezos, a lot of people rip on Jeff Bezos. I've said this, I think, in other conversations with my friend. I feel like a broken record, but not to the public. But like Jeff Bezos said something great where it's like, you know, if you could do something where 50% of the time you really enjoy it, like that's the lottery, because life, no matter what, has red tape of bullshit and, you know, logistical things that are never enjoyable. So if you can get to a place where 50% of the time you're really enjoying it, like that's a large chunk of your reality as a sentient person. And that's like really awesome, because there's a lot of people who perhaps, you know, that percentage is way less. And even for me, like really lucky and like doing exactly what I want to, there's a bunch of shit that sucks, you know. It's like, and like it's really hard obviously to complain, but like the schedule of social media, the inherent heart attack of always uploading, always making more content, constantly figuring things out. There's no schedule. I'm not within an institution that's telling me what to do. Everything rests on my shoulders. The success rests on my shoulders. The adversity rests on my shoulders. So it's very like, it's all up to me. And that actually is like a lot of pressure, not to like vent or complain, but it's you got to navigate that. And it's like really, it's really tough sometimes. I get burnt out a lot, breaking my leg. Actually, I took like 2 months off YouTube, and like, it was amazing. Like I hadn't taken a break of trying to upload a video for like, I don't know, 2 years before that. Like literally every week I was trying to do videos preceding that, and like it was an amazing 2 months of just like forgetting about it, and it was really awesome. But so that's like one of the things.
We definitely underestimate it. We're like, cool, like we did the first episode of the podcast. We have our well, it's actually my uncle who does our video editing.
Hell yeah.
And then we're like, cool, hey, we have it edited, cool, we're gonna put. We didn't realize how much stress. The most stress is posting it and getting all that stuff correct. I had no clue. That's the most stressful part every week.
Right. Yeah. And that's probably the thing that holds a lot of people back. It's like, again, it's easy enough to record or have good ideas, but like, you know, really following through and executing and uploading, right? Like putting out things. Yeah. It's definitely easier said than done.
Yeah. You can't just post it, right? You have to be strategic about when you post it,
right?
You know, what wording you use, hashtags, anything like that, or where you're going to post it.
Totally.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a whole science behind it for it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I mean, the internet has a lot of resources to help you.
Totally
Figure that out.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's such like a paradox. Like there's a lot of YouTubers who their whole careers are telling you how to make YouTube videos or social media business, which is so funny, but it's true. And I mean, like I said, like everything I've learned, like even like writing the business plan or, you know, anything, photo, video editing. Like I've learned everything from YouTube, you know, Google, how do I use Premiere Pro, you know, use it for a couple of weeks, search how to do this effect, blah, blah, blah. And just, you just build on those skills. And after a bunch of years, you just become more fluent in whatever language. But everything, you know, strategy of business and marketing and like listening to Gary Vee, and it's all just regurgitating things I listen. It's not like I know these things, you know, it's just research, which is weird. It's a weird thing to think of, R&D of social media, but it's real.
It's crazy for sure.
It is definitely a crazy thing. So what is the future for Slew? What are the next goals for this year for you?
Just keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, like I have to get this place, I'm calling it operational, which means just like everything's set up, and I kind of am in some sort of systematic flow, which has not been reached yet. I don't think it will be really reached until maybe like midsummer, end of summer. And that just is in terms of just like the production schedule and the workflow of editing. Like I'm also commuting now. Like I'm a vagabond. I've been living on my friend's couch for the past 6 days. I actually haven't moved to Brooklyn yet because I'm not living in this space. And so I have to figure that out. But there's a whole, it's just like get it operational, start doing painting projects like I've done, but you know, new ventures like the podcast. It's all just like I really gave myself quite a long list of to-dos, which is awesome. And that's another thing I think I'm really actually strong at, is that like I really do have a narrowed vision. And so I think that's actually what a lot of people struggle with. It's like they don't know what to do. They have all this perhaps energy or interest, but they can't really narrow it down to something where it could be executed upon. So I have an insane amount of work to do, but like I really know exactly what I'm going to do. It's just about putting in the work. That's kind of like as simple as the formula gets in sort of this situation. But it's just the same shit. I mean, just trying to make videos and have fun. I'm also trying to have like a social life, and like I'm really excited to just like be closer to friends and stuff.
Yeah,
know,
well,
like,
hopefully in Brooklyn you'll definitely have more time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so
check out the Alamo. I think the Alamo opened in Brooklyn. The movie theater.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh really?
The one in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw the Joker there before COVID.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Great movie.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I have a question before you know we go on to another thing, before it leaves my mind. I would assume you received some crazy requests for art. Give us an example of.
The crazy. I don't know about crazy. I mean, people out like ask for commissions all the time.
Yeah.
And if a lot of it is like portraits of their girlfriends, or like a lot, because like actually before, because the one way I did make money before YouTube picked up, but while I was making YouTube, was doing like dog paintings and like paintings for people's pets, because my skills in painting were getting better, and I was making YouTube videos of all of it, but I didn't. Anyways, the money was from dog portraits. So a lot of people asked for that. Yeah. A lot of people asked for cyclopses and custom characters, because I think a lot of my viewership likes this sort of stuff. And there's weird sections in my channel throughout the last couple of years where like maybe I'll do these projects for like 2 or 3 months straight and not even do an oil painting, and then I'll get a lot of viewership for things like this, and then all of a sudden I start doing stuff like this, and it's like, oh, they don't really like that. So some people ask for custom cyclopses or tattoos people want, and I pretty much say no always now, because I'm in a situation where I can make a video about whatever I want and profit from it, rather than painting something for someone else and making money. But nothing too crazy. I mean, people, I don't know.
There's got to be something that's like that was like over the top, that you were just like, okay, I'm just definitely not doing that, you know?
I mean, I think there's really like corporate like murals, but nothing that like would maybe shock you, or maybe that you're looking for. I'm trying to think. I get a lot of sponsorship advertisement requests that are just so baffling to me. It's like people want me to like advertise like green tea face cream. It's like, what? Why the hell would I like? You think any of my viewerships maybe would want that? Maybe I'm missing out. But there's a lot of weird requests like that. But I'm trying to think of paintings. Not really. I mean, the classic like girl thing to say is like paint me like your French girl, like your nude French girl. Like girls will DM me that all the time, and guys as jokes. But it's like, I mean, nothing too crazy. Maybe that is worth saying. I'm trying to think, but yeah, I feel bad saying no a lot.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
You gotta be selective on who you know.
Yeah, and I try. That's the one thing that I think also has helped my I don't know, my channel or my viewership is like I really try to respond to every single person like that DMs me or emails me, like even if it's just like, hey, what's up, or much love. Like I'll respond to every single one, and I get like hundreds a week. But it's just like I was that same fucking kid, dude, like looking at artists on YouTube and like DMing. Like I cold DM'd like 3 years ago, like my favorite artist being like, I'll drop out of school right now to work for you, like to sweep your floors type shit. And like kids are doing that to me now. And it's like, holy shit, like I was that exact kid. And so I always try to show love and be like, or like, people, the most thing is people like, check out my work. Like, what do you think of my work? And it's like, dude, I can't write a paragraph about your work right now because 30 other people are asking, but I'll just be like, keep killing it, keep going, like much love. So I try to put myself in their shoes because I was that exact motherfucking kid.
No, man, that's awesome because most people don't do that. I mean, even where like I've been saying, like, let's reach out to people, see if we can get anybody for the podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's nobody responds back.
I know, but you just got to keep going.
I mean I was messaging Hollywood people, so
we were reaching.
But see, like that's something that you guys have that Hollywood doesn't, or like a bigger podcast does. Like it at your point right now, I'm not saying maybe 3 years down the ride, a year from now, you guys will be super huge. It'll be awesome. But like the scale of you guys right now is the most authentic and real, whatever thesaurus word you want at this point. Like if you think of it, it's hard to look forward because you haven't gone there yet. But I would say the same for me. Like back when I was making those videos, when like spending weeks on paintings, week editing, and I would get maybe 300 views. Like I know that that's like the most authentic, just what's another fucking word, just real work that like I've ever made. And I will always think that because there was nothing influencing me. It wasn't money, it wasn't view, it was just literally, I want to paint this. I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited to film this process and put out this video for me, as if I'm like the only one watching the video. So that's something you guys have that could be actually, interesting for whatever more clout people, because you are in that space of where it's like just mega real right now. And do you get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I get it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like
I
get being bogged down by that, but I think that's real, and it's hard to look back at that or a position. But I look back on that, for example, of myself being like, there's a couple videos where I'm like, holy shit, like this is the dopest video I've ever made, and it was like 3 years ago, just whatever. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
No, man, it's true. Yeah, that's definitely, because that's how it feels. It feels like we post videos, but we're the only ones that watch it. Like, it's funny to see. I mean, we don't get a lot of views, but it's funny to see even if it gets 200 views, we're like, oh, yeah, we're interested in that.
Something else that I like to think about that might help you if you're getting stressed out about viewerships, which is so real and everyone does it, especially when you're working at something you want people to consume it, is like, I think of my videos also as just like an archive, a library, a virtual portfolio. And like, like I said, I have videos that I think are some of my best videos from like 3 years ago, and they have only 1,000 views. Where now like I'm averaging 10 times that. But and it's like, sure, do I want people to see that? Sure, but like it's on the internet forever, to be forever watched by an infinite amount of people. Like there's a great quote. It's like, it's not a quote, but it's like, I actually use this in my business plan. It's like, my business is only limited by the amount of people watching videos on YouTube. And that's true. It's like any single person can stumble on your video for the rest of history, as long as there's an internet connection. So I like that idea and the archival sense of it. Yeah, maybe you won't get a bunch of views, but I really like that idea. And maybe you guys don't, that's not in your thinking, but like your conversations are documented forever, and even if it's just you guys listen to it, I think that's fucking awesome.
That's exactly, you hit it right on the head.
So like this is my go-to. Worm always mentions what message do you have for our listeners? What's your advice to our listeners for anybody looking to be an artist / YouTuber? You know, either or both.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I say the same thing to a lot of people who DM me that same thing, and what I've already been motherfucking preaching. I don't mean to preach. I feel like I rant so hard. I need one of those like hooks to like signal me off sometimes. But I think just what I said, man, if you are passionate about something, like try to just manifest that passion and, you know, just work hard at it. Like especially for painting, like to get specific, it's like everyone wants to be a good painter or obtain skills in painting. And you'll never, ever, ever get to where you want if you just think about it. You know, it's only doing. So whatever can motivate you to actually, you know, pick up a deck of cards and start practicing, you know, your sleight of hand or your French drops, or I'm trying to think of another name, your double lifts and things like that. Do it. And it's like, oh, what was I about to say? There's this great, I talk a lot about like failure on my channel and mindset. And I think this is a really great analogy I try to blast whenever I can. It's like when you are 15 or 16 and you're trying to get your driver's license, your mindset 99% of the time for kids across the world is, I'm gonna get my driver's license. That's it. You go on the highway for the first time, you're scared, your parents are yelling at you, you're at a four-way intersection, maybe you fuck it up and you do a terrible job, but you're like, okay, I'm gonna get my license eventually. You don't just stop trying to drive after that, because your mindset is pretty like concretely sealed, like I'm gonna get it. So for everything else you do in life, painting, magic, you know, whatever, it's like you need to have this mindset of repetition and keep going, because you know, what successful person or any person, you know, did something and it was just like first time great. I know it sounds like so cliche,
sure.
I think that analogy really lends its hand to like mindset and, you know, going back and keep going and keep going. And obviously there's a point where maybe you should stop, but it's like, you know, there's not a lot of people in the world who like really are so stupid that they can't do something after like 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? Like you really have to be a moron or something to like obtain a skill. I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean? But I love that analogy of the driver's license because I think it illustrates that mindset perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slew, thank you.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah, man.
Nukes, I'm sweating, boys. Holy shit.
Well,
I close those windows for the noise, but we're steaming in here now.
Oh, shit.
well, Slew, thank you so much for taking the time out of putting together your new studio to sit and talk with us.
You bet. I wish I would keep talking for hours. I love this shit, you know? I love it. And well, maybe
we'll come over and use your studio or something.
I was about to say, I have 3 mics set up, but I'm going to get a 4th one eventually. So maybe I'll have the whole NerdyOver30 squad once the podcast's up and running.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. We'd definitely
awesome.
Yeah, for sure, guys, for sure.
So do you want to mention anything you're working on? Any pages that you want our listeners to visit? Or
no, I mean, check out my YouTube channel. Yeah, on YouTube, just Slew, SLEW. You know, I'm doing vlog series and always posting stuff. So check it out if you're into painting and creative
stuff.
Check
it out in the description, YouTube.
Yes, sir. You know what to do. You know where to be.
All
right. Awesome, man.
Thank you
Good
so
talk.
much.
You bet.
Peace out, everybody. See you later.
Well.